Welcome to this episode of Chai with Director Rai at IIMI. Today with me is Mary Clark, the Provost of the University of Denver. It's so nice to have you over, Mary.
I'm pleased to be here.
And welcome to IIM Indore.
Thank you. And we had a wonderful tour of campus, so thank you. It's a beautiful campus.
Now, Mary, your journey from a clerkship at the U.S. Court of Appeals to an esteemed academic positions at Yale Law School and now as the Provost of the University of Denver is quite inspiring. Now, with a vast experience in academics and as a Supreme Court Fellow with the Federal Judicial Center and various roles at American University, including interim provost and the dean of faculty, you have undoubtedly encountered a myriad of experiences. Now, can you share a fun or an unexpected kind of a moment from your legal or academic career that taught you an important lesson about adaptability and resilience?
Sure. I think the lesson I'd highlight is when I was invited to give a talk at the Supreme Court on the history of women in the Supreme Court. And I was the guest of Sandra Day O'Connor. Justice O'Connor had me back to her chambers with her husband, and they were talking about hiking in Nepal, in fact, while I met with them. They then escorted me into the courtroom and I gave my lecture. But when I first walked up to the lectern, I felt like I was floating on air. My feet were not on the ground. And then I thought to myself, well, the reason I'm here is to honor the women who've argued cases in the Supreme Court and the early women justices who are on the U.S. Supreme Court. And that really helped to ground me. When I spoke in honor of these women, I no longer felt quite as nervous as I had to start.
That's really inspiring. Now, balancing a successful career in academia with personal interests and passions, it's not easy. So outside of your professional endeavors, what are some of your hobbies or activities that bring you joy and help you recharge?
Sure. Well, as I shared before, I have twin sons who are now seniors in college, and I've raised them largely on my own. Unfortunately, my husband had passed away. And so I just took such joy in being with my sons and seeing them grow and develop, and now they're about to launch into the world. And we like to travel together. So every summer we go on fun trips. This summer we're going to Spain and also to Morocco. In years past, we've gone to Tanzania and we've hiked Kilimanjaro. So we've been all over, and I love traveling and I love planning trips.
But of course, I'm sure even during the travel, because of the internet, you would still be answering emails.
Always. Yes. Yes.
All right. Now, your dedication to advocating for women's legal history is amazing. Can you share a personal story or experience that fueled your passion for this area of scholarship?
Sure. So as I shared before, in addition to being a women's legal historian, I am a women's rights advocate. And I think what led me to be a women's rights advocate was learning about my grandmother's personal histories with the women's suffrage movement in the United States. So my grandmothers were born in the 1890s. And they were active in the women's suffrage movement in Washington in the teens, the 19-teens. And suffrage was finally enacted in the 1920s. But to hear about their experiences was very motivating. So I think that's where it all began.
That's pretty amazing. And how do you see your advocacy work actually impacting the future generations of legal scholars?
Well, first, I argued cases that helped open doors for women in the professions so that women had equal opportunity with men, whether in the law or in other professions. So there's that. And I'm also quite conscious of my role as a model for our students and also our faculty, that especially as a single mother working at a very challenging job, demonstrating for them that it's possible and that it can be very gratifying to do this work.
Absolutely amazing. Transitioning from teaching to an administrative role involves navigating very different kind of challenges and opportunities. How do you balance your academic pursuits with the demands of leadership?
Well, I'm still in the classroom, so I'm still a faculty member. I teach a course on the history of free speech, as I mentioned earlier, and I teach undergrads now, not law students as I've done historically, which I enjoy very much. It's the thing I enjoy most. It gives me a lot of energy. In my administrative work, I think what I enjoy most is the creative problem solving, that you can use your judgment and your creativity to serve the public good. Our university is committed to the public good, and to think about how we can best move forward the greatest challenges in society, whether that relates to health or democracy, to affordable housing that we've spoken about, or to sustainability. So to be able to use one's creative judgment in furtherance of these important ideas is quite satisfying.
Absolutely. In any case, we all came to the world of academia for the joy of teaching to begin with.
Well, it's true. I love teaching.
Absolutely. Now, can you share a guiding principle of philosophy that informs your leadership style? How do you integrate personal values and professional goals to create a supportive and inclusive environment for students, staff, and your faculty?
I think first and foremost, I seek to be very respectful of whomever I'm working with, whether it's a student, staff, or faculty member, to understand or try to understand what is their concern, what's motivating them, and to respond at a human level. I appreciate them when folks are approaching me as the provost, they might be a bit intimidated, and I seek to assure them that they need not be intimidated and that we can have a conversation person to person. So I think that personal respect and respect for the humanity of all people is essential.
I think it also displays compassion for other people.
Yes,
Perfect.
I agree.
Perfect. Mary, now you're going to come under a little bit of fire. So here are some rapid fire questions which you're supposed to answer without thinking much.
Oh dear.
Right? If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Oh boy. Let's see. I really don't know. I'm not sure I need or want a superpower.
You already are a superwoman.
I don't know.
All right. If you were the last human on Earth, what would you do?
What would I do? I love to be out in nature. I love to be out walking in nature. So I'm guessing that's what I would do.
Okay. If you could only eat one cuisine for the rest of your life, what would it be?
You'll laugh. But I love breakfast cereal. So I think I would have breakfast cereal for all my meals.
All right, that's healthy.
Yeah, it is.
If you could travel back in time to any historical event, which one would you choose?
So Joan of Arc is a figure who fascinates me. So I would be interested in traveling back in time just to get a better sense of what motivated her.
Absolutely. Oh, that's amazing. If you could swap lives with any fictional character for a day, who would it be?
So I enjoy the novels of Jane Austen, and so maybe it would be switching with one of her characters. I enjoy the insight that she brings to bear on social dynamics, family dynamics, what have you. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. If you could speak any language fluently overnight, which one would you pick?
I suppose I would enjoy being able to speak French.
All right.
Yes.
Saba, good, good.
Yes.
Name one book that has had a significant impact on your life.
So I'm a huge fan of Virginia Woolf, and I love reading Virginia Woolf, particularly To the Lighthouse is a special book for me.
Wonderful. Share one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self.
Right. So one piece of advice would be to lean in, to not be intimidated by a situation, to not be fearful, but rather to have courage and to have confidence and to lean in when there are difficult situations.
Fantastic. If you weren't in your current profession, what career path would you have pursued?
Oh boy. Well, I really enjoyed being a women's rights advocate, so I'd probably go back to that work, which was my original calling.
Fantastic. And what is one thing on your bucket list that you have not accomplished yet?
I suppose it would be travel, although I've traveled quite extensively. So it would be travel, but you've invited me to think about where I want to travel to next. So I'll be back in touch.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Miles to go before you sleep.
Yes.
It was such a pleasure talking to you, Mary.
Well, thank you.
It's such a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. I feel the same. Thank you
Great.
for your warm hospitality. Yes.
Here you go.
Very good.
So this was the Provost of the University of Denver, Mary Clark, on Chai with Director Rai at IIMI.